Sacramento Mayor Darrell Steinberg is against Prop 36. Before his current job, he was the longtime leader of California's state Senate. He joins us now from Sacramento, home of our affiliate CBS 13. Mayor Steinberg, welcome to The Issue Is, I believe, for the very first time.
Well, it's my debut, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you, Alex.
Good to see you. So real simply, why are you a no on Prop 36?
We have a very serious problem in our state with retail theft and with drug abuse and drug addiction, and of course, the sale of fentanyl and all the tragedies that have gone with that. This is the wrong solution to basically increase our jail and prison population while cutting the funding for treatment, which is the stated intent of Prop 36. This initiative taps into the emotion and the anger that people feel. But as often happens with some initiatives, just because it states a problem and a serious problem doesn't mean the solution is the right one, and this is the wrong one. Let me tell you why. It takes us back decades to an era where we are going to imprison people or put people in county jail, not for drug sales, but for drug possession. And I might be for it. I might be for using the criminal law to induce or require people to get into treatment if I believed that the proponents and some of their partners were actually serious about increasing the slots, the beds, the services for those people who are severely addicted to drugs. And I don't believe that's the case. And it's born out of my experience as mayor of this city around homelessness. We are fighting all the big city mayors to do everything we can to reduce homelessness. We've had a 41% reduction in unsheltered homelessness in the city and county of Sacramento. But we're not, and it's the counties of California who do a good job on many things, but we're not getting enough people into treatment, into the wraparound services that people who have drug addiction or on the streets need. If we're not able to do that, what makes anybody think that charging people with serious crimes that could result in imprisonment in jail is actually going to lead to the very treatment that Prop 36 purports to allow? In fact, it's just the opposite, because when we increase the prison population and the jail population, that squeezes out the money to be able to not just keep drug treatment slots at the current level, but actually to increase them. Do you know that there are 18 counties in the state of California that do not have a single drug treatment bed? So I think it's a false promise. And I think it will disappoint the voters if it passes. And I urge a no vote.
But isn't part of it not necessarily just mandating prison time or jail time, but there is an option giving discretion to mandate treatment, and that there's a lot of folks on the streets that have refused treatment that may need to be mandated treatment to help them?
Well, again, there is no evidence that the district attorneys who are sponsoring this or their partners at the county are committed to actually increasing the amount of treatment that would be necessary to not only address the plight of those who are homeless on the streets, but those cycling in and out of jail and prison, because that's where we've chosen to put people if Prop 36 passes. The idea of trying to induce people to get treatment is fine. It's not philosophical. But, you know, the legislature 2 years ago passed the Eggman bill that allows for to make it easier to conserve people who are drug addicted or dealing with serious mental illness. There's the care courts now, which is a civil process by which counties, if they choose, and cities can file petitions to require that people get the help and treatment they need. It's simply too expensive, and it's unfair to think that you're going to put people in prison or in jail simply because they are addicted to drugs, when we know that what really needs to happen is to increase treatment. Again, if there was a seriousness of purpose by the proponents to link using the criminal law to increasing treatment and services, it might be a different story. But that's not what this is. There's one other factor, if I might, Alex, and that is this initiative does not stand before the voters in isolation. This year, the legislature and the governor passed comprehensive enhancements to the criminal law for both retail theft and for drug sales, specifically fentanyl. Under the laws that the governor signed, the DAs can now aggregate two offenses if they're less than $950. If two of them together are over $950, you can charge it as a felony. You can get an injunction to prohibit the person that might be preying on your retail establishment, small business, from ever coming in your store again. You can arrest, a police officer can arrest somebody even if they don't witness the crime, the shoplifting crime or the theft crime. It comes down hard on online retail theft. On fentanyl, the governor signed a bill this week that will provide a 3-year sentence enhancement for anybody who sells more than 1 kilogram of fentanyl. And so the legislature and the governor took this issue seriously. They passed a comprehensive set of laws, and now Prop 36, in some ways, I would argue, is weaker in terms of holding people accountable. But what it really does is take us back to the era of more people sitting in jails and prisons without any real promise of the treatment that people need.
But this isn't just conservative DAs that are pushing this. You have progressive mayors in places like San Diego, San Francisco, and San Jose. Mayor Mahan, who was with us last week, who are all saying that we need to do this. They all were supporters of Proposition 1, which you put out to help increase treatment. Mayor Mahan talked about Prop 47's impact on minority communities when he joined us last week. I want to play that and have you respond.
In terms of disproportionate impacts, the data would show the opposite. It's our communities of color that are most impacted by drug overdoses, by homelessness. It's our small businesses. In San Jose, we have 60,000 small businesses, over half of which are immigrant-owned. Those are the folks coming to me every day asking us to do more, asking us to do better.
He says since Prop 47 passed, drug overdoses have doubled. Homelessness is up 60% in California, and we've seen rise in retail theft. What do you say to all the people who have been victimized and feel like Prop 47 isn't working and we need to do something radically different?
Well, first of all, I have great regard for Mayor Mahan and Mayor Gloria. They're two of our 13 big city mayors. They're great friends, and I have great regard and respect for them. I just plain disagree with them on this. And as to the victims, they are right to be frustrated, absolutely. But frustration can also lead to bad public policy. And in this instance, I think it does, because there's nothing in Prop 36 that actually says people are going to get the help they need. And, you know, this is maybe, and Prop 47, frankly, I think it has been an unfair scapegoat for far too many of the society's problems. You know, in Texas, for example, that the threshold between misdemeanor and felony is much higher than the 950 in California. Texas, the law and order state. There's been a lot of myths and facts here. The truth of the matter is that DAs currently have the authority to charge people who are selling drugs. If you possess drugs of a high enough amount, you can also be charged with a felony, and they can seek mandated treatment, both under the criminal law and under the civil law. And they're not doing it. They're not doing it because there aren't enough treatment slots. And so just because people are rightfully frustrated about a problem doesn't mean that the solution that's being put forward is going to alleviate their frustration. Again, if this were just the only thing that was done this year, Prop 36 putting on the ballot, that would be one thing. I repeat again, the governor and the legislature passed comprehensive bills that increase criminal penalties for much of the same things that Prop 36 does. But it doesn't put more people in prison unless they are engaged in multiple thefts or unless they are engaged in the sale of drugs. And that's the right thing. I am all for the carrot and the stick. And I think most Californians are all for the carrot and the stick. But if you're going to use the stick, then you have the obligation to actually fight for and show that you mean it when you say you're going to provide treatment to people. That isn't the case. And so a false promise, I think, is what we have here. Imagine this passing: more people in prison, more people in jail, less money for treatment, and people cycling in and out of the jails and the prisons without a chance to even get better. You know, we have a big recidivism rate in California prisons. The governor asked me to lead the San Quentin Rehabilitation Project, and we produced a report that said what everybody knows: 90% of the people who leave our prisons, 90% of the people in our prisons will eventually get out. And we have a nearly 50% recidivism rate compared to some European countries, which is 20 to 25%. What does that tell you? It tells you that we're not doing enough to help prepare people for the outside. Well, the same is true of all the people who are sick because they're addicted to drugs. I don't mind using the stick, but I just have no confidence that those who are fighting so hard for this are going to be as committed, nearly as committed, to making sure people get the help that they need.
And real quickly, you understand the politics of this moment. Do you think Prop 36 passes?
I don't know. I mean, I know that it's ahead in the polls, but, this is why we have these discussions, because I don't believe, I've seen it way too many times in my 30-year career, the underlying emotion of a movement or an issue can be the right one. But then be careful that the solution that is put forward is not overkill. Because when it's overkill, there are unintended consequences. And most importantly, the last thing you want to do with and for the people is to promise a solution and then not be able to deliver on it. And they will not, Prop 36 will not deliver on it because there's no commitment to actually increasing the number of drug treatment slots by the people who are pushing this. It's, I know it's philosophical with the DAs, but it really isn't for me because, again, I don't mind using the criminal law if it gets somebody off the streets or gets somebody the help they need, whatever it takes. But show equal amount of commitment and passion to the other side of it, and maybe then there's a different discussion to be had. Prop 36 doesn't do that.
All right, we want to have a little bit of fun with you. As you wrap up your time as the mayor of Sacramento and your time before that as the leader of the state Senate, you have worked with a lot of the most high-profile people in the history of California politics. So for our name game, the one word or a short phrase for each of these figures that you learned about leadership. The most important thing you learned from some of these most famous politicians. So here we go. First thing that comes to mind when I ask you about Governor Jerry Brown.
Competent, capable, and visionary, and helped the state out of the worst budget crisis in modern history.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Loved working with Governor Schwarzenegger, loved California, loves democracy, and is not afraid to have a fight even with his own party.
Gavin Newsom.
Visionary, has chosen to take on some of the most unpopular and hard issues of our time, namely mental health and homelessness, and has done so fearlessly and delivered big results and a lot of resources for cities and counties.
Karen Bass, who was the leader of the Assembly when you led the Senate.
Through the historic budget crisis of 2009, one of my favorite people in politics and in life. Principled, huge amount of integrity, steely, and more than most anyone I've ever worked with knows how to get it done. She's a great mayor and a great public servant.
And lastly, somebody you served with in multiple different roles, who's now the Democratic nominee for president, Kamala Harris.
Incredible pride. Worked with the vice president when I was president pro tem, and she was the attorney general. And I am so proud and inspired by her, and count it as one of my great blessings in life that I had the chance in life to work with her. May she be the next president of the United States.
And lastly, we play a game called Personal Issues. It's the first thing that comes to mind to get to know you a little bit better. 30 seconds on the clock, rapid fire. Mayor Steinberg, what is your favorite TV show?
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Great choice. Favorite book?
Team of Rivals by Doris Kearns Goodwin.
Another great choice. Favorite sports team?
If this is shown in LA, I'm sorry. The San Francisco Giants.
Bad choice. Okay. Favorite athlete?
Favorite athlete of all time? Two, the late, great Willie Mays, and the greatest Dodger of all time, Sandy Koufax, Jewish and left-handed, just like me.
I love that. Jackie Robinson may be the greatest Dodger of all time, but Sandy Koufax is a good one, too. And lastly, who is your role model?
Well, I think I have many role models, but I guess if I have two favorite politicians or people I look up to, it's probably Abraham Lincoln and Nelson Mandela, both who represented the epitome of leadership. And I look forward to adding Kamala Harris to that list, too, next president of the United States.
If she can compare with those two, then things are going really well, not only for her, but also for the country. Mayor Steinberg, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time. Hope to have you here in studio sometime soon.
Love to come. Thank you so much. Enjoyed it.